Dan Campbell spoke yesterday, and he said that these Lions are ready to swing with the big boys, Gator. Swing with the big boys. And he talked about this division and said, we got to go get the division. Lions are the betting favorite. Optimism's at an all-time high. I want to ask you and Lions fans, is it division or bust? In other words, anything shy of winning this division and hosting a playoff game this season is a disappointment. Would you subscribe to division or bust?
I think I would. I guess I would say this. If they got in as a wild card and won a playoff game, it wouldn't be a bust because you would have won a playoff game. So it's like basically it's winning a playoff game or a bust, I think. But what does that even really mean?
So if they win the division but lose a playoff game.
Well, what does or bust mean?
Other than maybe disappointment, it's a failed season.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like I'm going to stop watching the team.
No one's firing the coach or anything, but it's setting the expectation, something he talked about yesterday.
Yeah, I think you have to, it's almost like both ways. If you win the division, it's a success. If you don't win the division but win a playoff game, it's a success.
Okay.
So if you win the division and lose the playoff game, I'll still say it's a success because you won the division and you hosted a playoff game, and that was exciting. It would be disappointing if you lose it because we've been waiting for 30 years to host a playoff game.
The Lions haven't won the division since 93, the year I was born.
30 years.
I believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won the Lions division more recently than they have, despite not being in the division anymore.
No, they definitely have.
So it's quite the statement to say you've got to win the division, but it feels like they have the team to do it.
Yeah, I feel like Tampa won it in 97, I think. I think it was the year that Barry ran for 2000.
Here's the
stat. And they had to play in Tampa. They were a playoff team, Lions were, and they had to play in Tampa and lost.
Tampa Bay won the division more recently than the Lions, and the Bucs haven't been in their division since 2001. So yeah, same time frame. But I think the Lions have the team for it. I don't think this is like misguided. I think the books have it set for a reason. The Lions went out and addressed their biggest need, corner, and did it with multiple bodies. And Campbell yesterday's talking about how they're going to have Aaron Glenn in the lab cooking up different things because they finally have some guys on the back end that they can rely on. It feels like the defense, which was strong the last 10 weeks of the season, should be even stronger this year. And he starts rattling off like this guy's back and that guy's back and this guy's back. And they're all young players.
Yeah.
So the thought is,
because they've all been drafted in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's going to take a step forward on defense next season. They went 5-1 in the North last year.
Yes.
With a defense that still needed to be upgraded. So the idea is in this division, with or without Rodgers, and it seems like he's gone, with the Vikings being the Vikings, I'm not looking at this division with any concern. The Lions have a team plenty good enough to win the division, and if they don't, something went wrong.
Well, we look at last year, and you see the Vikings went 13-4, but they were a fraudulent 13-4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, they could come back this year and still be a 13-win team and actually be a legitimate team. I think they've made a couple of moves to solidify themselves and try to make themselves better. We'll see when all is said and done. The Packers, I think we all agree, they're a mess right now, and it's going to be a while because they're not going to have Aaron Rodgers, and they're not going to have other players in their team either, and I don't think anybody really believes in Jordan Love, including the Packers. The Bears have made significant changes to their team, and they aren't just one-year deals. These are longer-term deals on younger players. I think the Bears got a lot better. I'm not saying they're better than the Lions. I think the Lions are the best team in the division. I'm saying the Bears are going to be the surprise team as well. Nobody's going to be surprised the Lions win it because everybody's calling for it.
No, their total's 9.5, betting favorite.
But the Bears, however many games they won last year, I don't know what it was, whether we're the worst team in the league because they had the number one pick, but they're going to have the biggest jump, I think, in terms of wins from year to year.
It's just hard to remake a defense in one offseason. And the Lions have used several to get to a point where we're decently happy with it.
But here's the thing with the Lions. The Lions, it'll appear that way if they end up with this 12-win team or 13-win team win the division. You're going to say the defense is so much better, and here we are. But really, you're going to have to trace it back to what happened in 2022. The last 10 games in 2022, and the Lions went 8-2 down the stretch, their defense was good. They allowed 20 points a game. Mm-hmm. The quarterback rating against was 80 over 10 games. It was 80, which would have been best in the league.
Yep.
The 20 points a game, I think, would have ranked third in the league. That's how much they improved last year in the last 10 games. That is not dissimilar from the year before when you looked at the last 7 games with what the offense did. And the offense carried that over all last year, and we're a top 10 offense in the league, right? Fourth or sixth, whatever
measure you want to use.
Yeah, they were a top offense in the league. So I'm expecting this defense, this is before they made changes in the offseason. I'm expecting the defense to do their part and be a top half of the league defense. Now that they've added Gardner Johnson and Sutton and all these other plays. Mosley, yes, the other corner from San Francisco.
You know what I like about them guys, too? They can also play slot and on the outside.
There's versatility. Which is what they're all about. They're about versatility in the back end, versatility up front, whether it's on the offensive side of the ball. Guys can play guard and tackle and center, or guys who can play defensive tackle, defensive end, move them all around. They got a bunch of movable parts, and they've built this team right. They've done it in a very intelligent way, and in a way that it's been real quick for Lions fans to jump on board and say that they completely approve of Brad Holmes, to the point where we're all like, you know what, I don't know about if I would take Jalen Carter or not, but I trust Brad Holmes. It took 2 years. That's it. 2 years is all it took for people to say, I trust Brad Holmes to make the right moves.
And in 2 years, I might feel that the Bears are more of a threat. I just feel like going into this season, the Vikings won 11 one-score games. Let's say they only win 8. It'd be a hell of a team to win all but there'd be regression. The Lions, a 9-win team, winning record, picked up 5 of the top 100 free agents. They're coming. And Dan Campbell says we're swinging with the big boys.
And they got 5 of the top, whatever it is, 90 picks in the draft.
Yeah, 81 picks in the draft. Still have that. Do you agree, division or bust? In other words, failure, disappointment if this team doesn't host a playoff game. Dan Campbell says we're swinging with the big boys, going for the division.